Good afternoon and welcome back to West Ham Irons United. This is your West Ham Daily. I am, of course, Anton. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and, of course, hit the thumbs up. But we are all going on a European tour. Yes, we are. Wow. How are you all feeling? Get your comments in and we'll go through some of them as well. Listen, it's what an unbelievable season. What an unbelievable season as a West Ham fan. You can go back as far as people saying boys of 86. Can you now say the boys of 21? I mean, what an achievement that David Moyes has done. I mean, he's taken West Ham into Europe. Such a huge achievement. But he can arguably take even greater pride in uniting the club, could he? After such a turbulent period at the London Stadium. He beamed as him and his players performed their lap of appreciation in front of the returning 10,000 supporters after the 3-0 victory over Southampton yesterday. The traditional end-of-season ritual had become somewhat of could it have been an embarrassment over the last couple of years, in recent years, but there was no holding back this time. You know, Moyes has guided West Ham back into Europe with our record Premier League total points tally, and everyone inside the London Stadium was totally ready to celebrate. I'm going to be bringing on, you know who I'm going to be bringing on in a second anyway to discuss it, because he was there yesterday and he was getting involved heavily in the videos. Declan Rice led the players round before Moyes stood on the pitch and told supporters the following statement: make sure you're all vaccinated, get your passports out because we're going to Europe. What a statement to make from that man himself. Unbelievable. I mean, you can see the grin. It's like a Cheshire cat. I'm smiling, I'm buzzing. And it's just what an end to the season. Moyes and his players were given the warmest of welcomes by fans at the end of the season, which began with West Ham on the verge of a crisis. If you think back to when Mark Noble tweeted his anger at the decision when we sold Grady Diangana to West Brom, and the return of Moyes was overlooked after keeping the club for the first time when he was at the club for the first time in 2017-18 season, and we never really gave him the chance to stamp his authority at the club. But from the boardroom to the training ground and now the stands, Moyes has got everyone pulling in the same direction, which is quite a feat in these days. Do you think he has? I mean, for me personally, you know, there is this form of unity, and sometimes it might take that like manager, that coach, or that a specific person with a specific style of how they approach things, the manner they do, the way he speaks to the fans, the videos he said when the club were up at St Andrews training, when I went up there and seen them, when he was doing all those videos and he was speaking to the fans, he was being transparent as he possibly could, and he was giving us, you know, his real beliefs about what he wants to build, and he's backed it up by an abundance. He's built a team that the supporters can be proud of. West Ham are now built on solid foundations driven by hard work, but not short of talent. So it was fitting the season ended with goals from two of the hardest working players this season in Fornals and Rice. While two teammates at top of the running charts each week, Soucek and Soucek celebrated together with Moyes, promising to guide him through Europe, of course, because they've had a lot of experience in European competitions. And that journey into Europe will require more characters in the mould of the two lovable Czechs who have had a sizable impact in the squad this season. I'm going to bring on Stel onto the show, and what we're going to do also is talk about this season in numbers. So Stel, you were at the game yesterday afternoon, mate. Have you recovered from all this, just everything that went on, mate?
It's all sort of sunk in now. It's been quite a ride, hasn't it, as you've said. And Moyes coming on and talking the way he did, you could see the pride in his voice yesterday. The way he spoke about the team, the way it was all unified, and the camaraderie, and he's got a vision, and that vision is very much, onwards and upwards. He wants to, he said he wants to build a team that we're going to be proud of, and you can't argue. We were proud of what West Ham did this season. I know you at tail end of the season you started hearing things like bottling it, and the team ain't up for it, and the owners are shit because they haven't invested, and we don't know why we got Moyes back, and etc. And it just makes me wonder sometimes whether people just look for the negativity for the sake of it, because there's nothing to be negative about. We're in Europe. We're going to be playing. I'm actually, at the moment, as we're speaking, I'm actually putting together a list of the teams that we could be
I've seen
facing.
some of them. Yeah.
And I tell you what, it's going to be a fantastic season. I'm not worried about how we do in Europe. Of course, if you're in it, you want to win it. But it's more about the experience. It's more about being amongst, getting that taste of European football and going again next season. And yeah. I'll be honest with you, mate. I think you were the same. When Moyes first came back to West Ham United, we were all like, we were all a bit nonplussed by it. We weren't sure what he was going to do. I think a lot of us imagined that maybe he was going to come in, stabilise things again and go again.
Yeah.
But he's made the job his own. And I think I was saying yesterday to the guys I was with, to Nigel and people like that at the game, this is his Everton phase 2 or Mark 2. This is a new project for him, and he's going to do it his way, and he's going to prove us all wrong. And he's done it all season. And I, for one, am delighted.
And I said it earlier on. I mean, he's built a team that we as supporters can be proud of. It's built on solid foundations, which is what he said. And this is where it's going to drive the rest of my show in a second. But it's not just driven by talent, but hard work. I mean, you can see throughout the whole squad, mate. Everyone has stepped up this season, no matter if you were at 1 point pissed off over Balbuena, if you were 1 point pissed over Benrahma, if you were pissed off over Lingard, if you're pissed off over Rice, Noble coming into the team. It does not matter. I can't think of a player on the top of my head that hasn't came into that team and done something for that squad.
You know what you're going to get with Moyes, and he's kind of proved it over and over again. If you work hard and you play the way he wants you to play, you're going to be in the team. Yeah. And Fornals is a prime example of that. Do you remember when Moyes came back for the second time, and Fornals was in form, but Moyes decided to play Lanzini over Fornals, and we're all going like, why? And what Fornals did was he just went, I'll prove you wrong. And he did. And everyone's moaning about Fornals, about he can't finish and he can't do this. And he, what sort of player we've got, etc. What Fornals did in order to make sure that he's playing is he made the manager happy first.
Yeah.
And by making the manager happy, in playing the way that the manager wants him to play, the manager's gone, right, you'll start probably most games, and when he brought Bowen in, hard worker, he's brought the Czech guys in, hard workers. And if you're a hard worker and you give the manager what he's expecting of you, that's all. Well,
still, I mean, you've brought up Fornals, so let me bring up Fornals' stats against Southampton yesterday. He had 83% pass accuracy. He had 40 out of 15 final third passes. He had 14 of them were completed. He had 4 shots, 3 on target, 2 goals, 3 interceptions, and 3 tackles. But I want to add more to this. I want to tell you what Fornals' season stats looks like. He got 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 goals he's had an involvement in this season. 59% tackle success rate for what you call a trickster, clever footballer. I mean, that's a high, very, very hard-working stat there. 18 block shots, 36 interceptions, 29 successful 50-50s, and 163 recoveries. I mean, you've got a workhorse here in the midfield. And I said it earlier on in the season, and I heard some other people trying to compare him to other players. He's kind of become. I can't even believe I'm remotely saying it, but I did say it earlier in the season. A kind of Gattuso-y type of player. Like, he gets stuck in. He doesn't care. He jumps up for many headers. He wins quite a few headers. He's got a decent leap on him, but he just gets stuck in. And his ability then to carry the ball and play it on and find the space in front of him is just immense. He's became very quickly one of my favourite players at West Ham. I listened to his interview after the game as well, still, and he just said, I'm so proud to play for this team. I'm so happy. And it's just, he's feeding into the fans. He's injecting that into all the fans, and we're turning around and going, do you know what, Pablo, welcome, mate. I mean, it's just amazing to see, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's what you want, isn't it? What do we as traditional West Ham fans love? We want a trier, don't we? We want someone that's going to go out on the pitch and put all their effort in, and we'll salute them for it. We've not had the best players in the world over our history, but we've had there have been times when we've had grafters, and people who do a job. I don't have any idea either. Afternoon, Mark. How are you?
Yeah,
mate?
it's Mark.
I hope you're well. We had grafters, and and he's the epitome of the kind of player that we, that we've kind of grown up to love, in the past. Proper grafters, because he's come in meant to be, do you remember we kept saying it was meant to be a number 10? It was meant to be, we thought he was the replacement to Lanzini. We thought it was going to be direct competition between the two. But what Moyes has done is he's turned around to him and gone, I know you can do all that, but that's not what I want you to do. If you want to stay in this team, you're going to be, and I keep saying it, I think he could be the successor to Mark Noble.
Yeah, someone's put in the comments. I don't know who it was. Let me just see if I can pull that up again.
Because that is what Moyes has started to ask him to do. So even though we keep saying, oh my God, if either Soucek or Rice is out injured, what we're going to do? He's got an alternative. He's got an option. I know he's played Lanzini in there when he played one game, etc. But he's got an option with Fornals. And I actually noticed yesterday, Fornals, there you go, Fornals almost played as a left wing back yesterday. Certainly in the second half, he kept playing out wide, and he kept tucking in next to Cresswell, sort of supporting Cresswell. And he's disciplined. The reason why he's making the team is because and the reason why when people go, oh, it should be Benrahma, it should be this player, it should be that player. The reason why Fornals gets the shout is because Moyes will say to him, I want you to play in this position and do it, and this is what I want you to do in that position. And Fornals does it. And he was playing almost like, when we were 2-0 up in the second half, he was playing almost like he was tucking in. It's like almost like a fifth midfielder, a fifth defender, sorry. Yeah. But when we broke, it was there. I'm
going to really look into even more detailed stats as we go through the summer about what this season has had in terms of the running stats, etc. But Fornals must be high up there with the amount of ground he covers, because, like you said, still he was in those positions. However, several times when he scored a couple of his goals, he was on the right hand side, far up the field. He was just covering so much ground in that team, and it's just amazing to see. I want to drop back though into our defence and talk about two particular players, and it's Cresswell and Soucek. Two players that have questionably, well, not Soucek in particular, but Cresswell in particular has gone kind of under the radar as a player that's not even been mentioned in the tips of people's tongues for Hammer of the Year, etc. But these two fullbacks still have been so consistent the whole season to extreme similar levels of the two lads that played at Liverpool and Liverpool season last year, Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, from the year before. Let's take a look at their stats. Cresswell first, 11 clean sheets, 8 assists, 207 crosses. We had David Cross on yesterday, and the biggest thing he said about being a striker was get that ball into the box. We've seen his balls being whipped into the box. 41% tackle success rate, 3 block shots, 32 interceptions, 73 clearances, 4 successful 50-50s, and 195 recoveries. Let's have a look at Soucek on the other side. 9 clean sheets, 7 assists, 132 crosses. So I'm just going to 132 crosses to 207 still from our two fullbacks is over 300 crosses going into that box.
And considering we're a team that's meant to be playing defensively, they're not bad stats, are they?
Exactly.
You know?
3 block shots, 41 interceptions, 90 clearances, 15 successful 50-50s, and that's our fullbacks still, you know. And I know Soufal's been up there and everyone on the tip of the tongue, everyone's saying, I mean, 5 million quid. But what I will say is Soufal and the rest of the defence and what Moyes has done with Creswell, bringing the best out of Creswell this season again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're amazing stats, and you know, they should be applauded. Aaron Creswell, most of us were going, one season too many. Maybe it's time for him to move on, join a lower team or a championship team. His time is up, etc. He's been absolutely revitalised, you know, for the way he's playing. And Soufal, £5 million. I
know, it's mad
for a player like that.
Yeah,
you know, and people were saying, yeah, but he's 28. Well, he's got 2. That means he's got 2 good seasons left in him at the very least. He's 28. He's got 2. I mean, he's a mesh. When he went down yesterday in the game, when I can't remember who took him out, literally took him out. The way you saw it, we went, you know, the stadium went, oh, like, you know, like we winced, and he stayed down, and we thought, that's it. You know, that is typical. Leg broken, etc. After a few minutes, he got up,
dusted himself down.
He got up and he went, what was that? And the guy that fouled him was still lying on the bloody floor.
He's amazing.
Getting bloody.
And you know what? And to think still we had that issue. You know, Zabaleta, Ngakia, Fredericks, Johnson, and then Soufal comes in, 5 million quid. Still, I remember us signing him. I remember doing the transfer video. I was looking into him, and I get it. You can't judge a player fully on their YouTube videos. I fully understand that. Now, I do have a memory of watching a couple of games from Prague in some of the European competitions, but I'm not saying I remember him indirectly. But when I watched some of the clips on YouTube before he came to the club, what you can tell is his ability to get that ball into the park. Still, he's got a lethal cross on him for a fullback. He whips that ball in on one side. He is also able to play in several different positions. He can play at left back if we needed him as well, which he had done earlier in this season. He's a no-nonsense defender. A lot of people compare him to Repka. He's very different to Repka, because Repka was just a no-nonsense, but with not a huge amount of ability. You know, so.
No, Repka was just mad.
Yeah, and but
we love him for it.
But yeah, you do, of course you do. But you do fear Soufal when you look at him. I mean, you come up 1-on-1 with him, mate. I don't know how many players he's had in his pocket this season, but he's had plenty. Let me move on though to the other two. I'm not doing every player, but I'm doing a kind of select core of the team. I'm going to bring Ogbonna and Dawson into the equation here. So 28 games for Ogbonna this season, 3 goals, 8 clean sheets, 50% tackle success rate, 30 interceptions, 116 clearances, 125 recoveries, and 101 duels won. But I'm going to bring in what was probably his main partner for the tail end of the season. 22 games from Craig Dawson, 3 goals, 7 clean sheets, 73 tackle success rate, 32 interceptions, 87 clearances, 92 recoveries, and 79 duels won. Key fact here, key stat here, and this is not me comparing the 2 players and going one's better than the other. It's not about that. It's about their style of play here. 73% tackle success rate and 50% tackle success rate, because Ogbonna is the standing out, the stepping out defender. And the whole point of having a player who sits in behind them is to collect anything that comes through, that gets through that first line. Now, I know me and you have had a few kind of disagreements through the season about centre halves, etc. I'll hold my hand up. I'll always hold my hand up and say, listen, Ogbonna's performed fantastic this year, and even the latter end of last year. And I think what Dawson has come in and done is complemented him really well, and sat back and still, just to remember, he came from literally nowhere. We signed him from Watford with no intentions of playing him. It sounded like we were never going to play him. He was just going to be the full-blown backup, to literally being one of the first names on the team sheet at most weeks, playing 22 games since his arrival. But I mean, The partnership between the two, I could have brought up stats from Diop, I could have brought up stats from Balbuena, but we'd be here all day. I'm not going to do it. But the point is, you can see consistency through that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, come on. We all had a laugh, didn't we, at the beginning of the season when David Moyes brought Dawson in, and we're all sort of laughing and going, there's just no chance that Dawson's going to see Premier League football. You know, he's going to be the fourth option, and he's going to be a very distant fourth option behind Ogbonna, Balbuena, and Diop. Now, I still maintain to this day that I do think, I know Balbuena's said his farewells today. I still maintain that Balbuena is the better defender than Diop is. But I can understand why Moyes has played. Dawson took his chance. He came in for the first sort of a half dozen games or so, and he played exceptionally well, and we all applauded him. He did slip up, though. You know, the latter half of the season, you know, 5-6 games, he started to make mistakes, etc., and people started saying, this is the Craig Dawson we've signed rather than the Craig Dawson that we knew in the first few games. Now, having said that, his last 2 games for us have been exceptional.
Yeah.
You know, he's back, relaxed alongside Ogbonna, and the two of them complement each other. And I've got to admit, it took me a while to admit to that. I kept saying throughout the season, I thought Ogbonna was better off with someone like Balbuena or Diop next to him. But you can't deny what Dawson has done. I still think we need to strengthen there, but
100%.
looking at what they've both done, Ogbonna for me, I mean, you know, yeah, I know we bantered an awful lot about, but Ogbonna has been the rock and apps. I mean, he's matured, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's absolutely matured into a proper. You know, it's interesting with Italian defenders. They kind of get better when they get older.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and it feels like he's matured into that position, and he's been an absolute rock. And even he's had his critics over time, not just you, but you know, other people that have said the same. But long may it reign. But you know, he's turned 33. Dawson is what, 30, 31. We need decent backups but.
Yeah.
What
it shows you about the consistency throughout the whole team. Let me move further into midfield. I'm going to talk to you about potato salad and rice, Tommy Soucek and Declan Rice. That is, of course, 10 goals from Tommy Soucek this season, 1 assist, 1,607 passes, 53% tackle success rate, 13 block shots, 62 interceptions, 102 clearances, 16 successful 50-50s, 246 recoveries, followed up by his main man, his partner, Declan Rice, 2 goals, 1 assist, just over 1,500 passes, 59% tackle success rate, 7 block shots, 59 interceptions, 35 clearances, 29 successful 50-50s, 169 recoveries. Still, I mean, these two are phenomenal, next level. And do you know what? When it comes to Hammer of the Year, I know there's going to be plenty of teams and players mentioned for the Hammer of the Year award. But when you think about what West Ham were missing before we brought in Tommy Soucek, for example, we were missing that box-to-box midfielder, that player to protect that back line. We've brought him in, and questionably, he's changed a lot of things at West Ham. He has complemented Declan Rice, of course, and I'm not taking anything away from Declan Rice because he's our best player. Of course he is. However, the work rate that Tommy Soucek does in that team, box to box, he defends, he goes forward, he scores goals. When we first signed him still, we genuinely thought he would never get into that box. I didn't think he was. I didn't think that was the type of player.
I don't think any of us knew enough about him. No one really knew what kind of player we were going to get. So we kind of, let's be honest, how many of us follow Czech football? I bet we do now. I bet we'll be following Czech football forever now that we know what we're getting. But he was a revelation, but he hit the ground running, didn't he? You know, he hit the ground running. He came into the team, and he's just been consistent. He's been consistently phenomenal from the moment he's walked into that team. And I'm not surprised there are bigger clubs looking at him. And I'm really, what I am surprised is why bigger clubs haven't haven't picked him out before. Why has he not made one of the top European teams? Whether this country or another country, because he's been an absolute star, absolute revelation, and what a great player! What a great player to have in our ranks, but between the two of them, we said it, and a lot of other fans from other teams took the piss out of us when we said it. We have got the best defensive midfield, I think, or it's got to be up there.
Questionably,
in the Premier
definitely.
League.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the Premier League.
They're absolutely, the two of them are phenomenal. I mean, again, I know I just bigged up Tommy Soucek, but I mean, still, the tackles that Declan Rice was making yesterday, it's just prime. I mean, he just gets stuck in and he makes really crystal clear, clean, professional, proper, old school tackles, mate. He intercepts. Declan Rice always touches the ball in a game of football, whether it's knocking the ball away from the opposition's feet or collecting the ball and running into space to find it, and we've got to take into consideration, you've got Mark Noble, who came into the team several times and stepped up he absolutely did step up to the plate. Even before, though, we played this season, we had that kind of triangular effect when we had Mark Noble playing a little bit further forward. We had Soucek and Rice sitting further back. If one dropped back, the other one went forward. And even that worked on several occasions, right back at the end of last season when we just survived the relegation battle. But to think that you've had a player, West Ham have struggled in a position for so long, to then bring in a player to complement another, to have such a positive effect on the team, I mean, it can't go. It can't go. I mean, still, not just
You're
the fact
waxing lyrical. You're waxing lyrical.
But not just the fact that he is a very good football player. He's also an agent.
Well, there is all this talk, isn't there, about the players that he's recommending to the club. He recommended Soufal, and so on and so forth. And if that is true, I mean, why should we not believe it? Then there's a good chance that we're going to have a few more players coming in that he's going to recommend, and it's great, because if we get a player of his standard coming into the team, or if we get a player of Soufal standard coming into the team, then I'll tell you what, it's going to be fantastic. And like we keep joking, we're going to have to rename our club, Slavia United or Slavia West Ham or whatever, But he's been a phenomenal player, absolutely brilliant. I'd never thought that we would get a player in like that would complement that. If you remember, before he arrived, all the hope was based on Declan, on his shoulders, such a young player, and we were putting so much on Declan Rice's shoulders. Now he's got a teammate there that they share the load. But at the same time, mate, when one of them's out, the other one steps up to the plate. Just like when Declan was out for a few games, Soucek didn't drop his head. He did the job. He continued to do the job he had to do, and he's just been phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. And who could argue that? I mean, if he is an agent and he gets us more players in, you wouldn't argue with his quality of choice, would you? As to who he might recommend.
Not. And add to the matter, he also walked away this season with 10 goals for West Ham.
10 goals for a defensive midfielder.
Joint top goal scorer with Mickey Antonio. But what we're going to do is take a look at our more forward players, and 3 players I'm going to concentrate on this section is Bowen, Lingard, and Antonio, of course. So Bowen, 8 goals, 5 assists, 11 big chances created, 23 block shots, 22 interceptions. I mean, still, for a player that was substituted a lot and laterally in the season was being kind of switched between him and Benrahma to start, but to be involved in 13 Premier League goals, creating 11 big chances in the Premier League game, it just shows you the quality that he does have in his locker, doesn't it?
I've liked Bowen from the minute he joined the club. And again, another player I cannot understand why some fans keep sort of like suggesting, I don't know, he's not good enough, or there's a good reason why he keeps being subbed, because he's just not completely Premier League standard, etc., etc. For me, Bowen is another workhorse that that will just do the job he's been asked to do, and he's got talent, and you can see that he's grown in his game because he's grown more confidence because of the players he's now playing around. When you get Lingard, when you got someone like Lingard in the team, all of a sudden it raises the game of all the other players, and I think Bowen has taken great advantage of that. I think he's been a phenomenal player. He's been just he has moved from he's moved from the Championship to the Premier League, and Moyes has eased him in, and now for me he's a very, very decent Premier League player. Very decent Premier League player,
100%, and so effective when he performs. And you know, he's extremely clever at getting from the wing into the middle of the park, and he's a trickster. He's clever on the ball as well, and obviously he's got an eye for goal. With being involved in 13 goals, 8 of them he scored himself. Let me move on to Mickey Antonio. 10 goals this season, 5 assists, 57% tackle success rate, 43 successful 50-50s, 51 recoveries, and he's been involved in 15 goals in the last 14 away league starts. I mean, listen, I don't know how many seasons we go on and harp on about Antonio. You know, the fan base go from one end of the spectrum to the other. You know, he's been so important to West Ham since he's came in from his whole. Well, I know, but we all are. We're all
one of them.
No, but we're
you
all.
Know,
we've all been guilty of it.
Every time his hamstrings go, it's like, well, you know, what did we expect? He's had 3 hammy injuries this season. 3. You know, and unfortunately, I think I did a piece about him where I think when his second or third hamstring went, injury came up, and I did a thing about him where he's only had 1 full season without being injured since he's been with us, and it, you know, Antonio's he's an odd one to work out, isn't he? Because you look at I remember once someone said, I can't remember who, but one of our watchers once said he's the best. What was it? He's the shittest best player we've got, or the best shit player we've got, or something like that. Because one minute he'll do something absolutely sublime, and you go, fuck me, I didn't know you had that in your locker, mate. And the next minute he'll come off his shin and fly off, you know, over the bar or over the stadium or something, and you go, oh yeah, that's the Antonio.
There's Antonio. But then, you know, you've got Antonio, who this season, I mean, listen, he's been pulled from pillar to post in his West Ham career.
Yeah.
Every position he possibly can play. But he's now got equal record in the Premier League for goals, 46 goals. And he's so effective. And the last stat I read off to you there still about Antonio was that he's been involved, I'll take that comment down for a second, involved in 15 goals in the last 14 away league starts that he's played in. You know, what an unbelievable stat. I mean, the guy is just relentless in his approach. Still moving into Europe, though, think about his unorthodox approach and how European defenders will be like, what the?
Yeah, this is what we were laughing about the last few games where, you know, we're going to go into Europe and all these European defenders are accustomed to playing against the little tricky players, you know, up front, you know, and sort of man marking them out, etc. Then Antonio turns up. Antonio's excellent, but in Rose Ed, they put up warning, high velocity ball. Yeah, so, you know, these European defenders are all accustomed to playing against these tricky little players, you know, trying to nick the ball off them, etc. Next season, this ball is going to turn up and stand in the middle of the pitch and go, okay, come on then, let's have it. And he's just going to, I mean, look at the way, what was it? Was it the Wolves game? Was it the Wolves game where he got the ball in the middle of the park and he ran through and this guy came in and literally bounced off him. Was it West Brom? And he bounced off him. And these European defenders are going to go, what is this all about?
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be the problem. I mean, it's good. Those stats are good because Moyes has used him intelligently in our away games.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, for Europe, you never know. I just can't. I honestly can't picture Antonio playing a European game, but he's going to. He's going to. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how.
But you know, it's funny because he made comments. He made comments earlier this season by, you know, he spoke out loud and he put it on his social media accounts by saying that people write him off all the time. He's so used to being written off. However, he reacts by giving something back on the park, and he does it in abundance still. He does it in abundance when he played out of position at right back several years ago, when he had that ball in the corner flag at Crystal Palace and gave it away, and we conceded the goal.
Yeah, I was there.
Everyone went at him, and then he reacted by, you know, scoring more goals or just being the big brute centre forward that he has become, and he certainly has. Let's take a look at the last player I want to talk about today is Jesse Lingard. And, you know, since coming in, he's played 16 games. He's got 9 goals, 4 assists. He's created 3 big chances. He's got 16 accurate long balls. He's had 633 passes. He's taken 42 shots, 22 on target. He's got 50% tackle success rate, 54 duels won, and 18 successful 50-50s. Impact signing of the window.
Oh God, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
you know, and I think it was Nigel that suggested that when everybody was moaning, again, including me, why are we not buying a striker? Why are we not getting a striker in, even on loan? And I think it was Nigel suggested, well, would a striker have scored and made assisted in as many goals? You just don't know. So it was an absolute perfect. I mean, come on, hats off to David Moyes. He went out there. It was like, I'm bringing Jesse Lingard in, and we're all going, "Where's your striker? You've just sold Sebastian Haller," you know. And I'm bringing Jesse Lingard in, and boy, oh boy, did he had a good game on Sunday, actually, Lingard. Because people have said, and rightly so, that he was pretty quiet for the last few games. But what a start he made. 9 goals, was it 4 assists, 5 assists, as you've said?
4, yeah.
And just coming in and fitting in. I mean, we were already doing well. Let's not forget, people, we were doing well up to the transfer window. But he came in and we went there, and he went, that's where we're going to head now. The elevation was incredible. And absolute. But I mean, if he stays with us, let's hope he does. It will be fantastic. It will be a dream.
I think he's a sort of player still. He's a sort of player that, you know, I know people think he goes missing. However, do you remember me and you did the Liverpool Matchday Live last season when Felipe Anderson was playing, and they man marked Felipe Anderson out of the game. But what it allowed other players to do was to progress forward and try and get an opportunity. And we actually played, and we're unfortunate not to get a victory at Anfield in that game. And that's what's happened as of late with Lingard. They've been putting 3 to 4 players on him, and I think it was
marking him out of the game.
Was it Leicester or Everton? There was a game, the Everton midfielder. That's what it was. The midfielder kept getting on his toes. Seamus Coleman was like, they were being pretty aggressive to him, pressing him back as much as they possibly could. And it was, you know, he couldn't get into the game. However, what happened was he drew so many fouls, players were starting to get booked, and they had to back off. And that's what he does. He draws a player in and they try and foul him to stop him from playing the game. And the minute that they realise they're going to get a card, they have to back off. And that's when Lingard plays to his best advantage, when he's got space. And I'm telling you now, I think he's been quiet in 2 games. I mean, I don't even know if he's been quiet in maybe only in one.
Well, he had a good game. Burnley was up until maybe West Brom and Southampton. Burnley was his last good game. Then we went through a spell.
It was at Everton.
2 or 3. Was it Chelsea, Everton?
Well, I think he was. I mean, I think he was kind of like there was different. In my opinion, there was different reasons to that. I think the 2 games in particular that are highlighted that he didn't play well in was the Fulham game after the Villa game, where West Ham just didn't go at Fulham at Craven Cottage when we could have gone at them, and that was maybe a little bit of too much hope on Lingard's head when he just played a game for the first time in such a long time. And then obviously the Everton game. They were the 2 that's been highlighted to me. However, we have got a guy there that's been so impactful on our season, still elevated West Ham, like you said, from here to here, and the rest of the team have followed suit.
Yeah, they have.
And add to that, Add to that the fact he's got European experience. He's won the trophy before. You know, he looks like he loves being there. He looks like it. He's building up a bromance, like West Ham on tour is saying, with Declan Rice. They absolutely love each other, and he looks like he loves there. And I think being in with the fans yesterday may have hopefully given him that little bit of a
I've
boost.
got a feeling, you know, I've said this, you know, a few weeks back. I've got a feeling he's going to want to have a say as to where he goes. He's not going to be used by Man United just so they can get their way. You know, all this stuff about, you know, offering him to that German team to get the name's gone. Sancho, you know, swap deal for him, etc. He could turn around and go, no thanks. He could turn around and go, I'm not going to Germany. You know, so I think he's going to, someone said a moment ago, I put it up briefly, the best thing that he could do for us is to put in a transfer request, you know, and I don't think he'll do that. Most players don't do that these days, unless you're a Tottenham player. But other than that, you know, I don't think I think he will have a say. I think he will have a say as to where he goes. Now, it just depends on what mind games Man United want to do. You know, they're obviously going to try and get as much as they can for him. I bet they're going to push for something like a 25 million fee, which we all know that will probably be about 10 million more than we should be paying. But I've got a feeling he'll have a say as to where he'll go. Yeah. You know, I know players in a way. He can. Let's not forget, people. He might be offered to as a swap deal to this club, that club, etc., etc. In order for, and there was talk, I think, even today, about Man United offering Martial, Lingard, and someone else, or money for Harry Kane. Will he want to go to bloody Spurs? I don't think so. Why would he want to do that when he can play Europa League football with us next season alongside his mate? You know?
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyway, sorry.
What this is obviously done for West Ham is, let's look at the final West Ham stats of the season. We played 38 games. We won 19 games, lost 11, scored 62, conceded 47, 65 points is our highest points tally in the Premier League. And look at David Moyes celebrating there still. What an absolute amazing feat he's done this season. 65 points. And when you do look at the league, you can't help but just see how close we are. We're one victory away. You can't help it. And I'm not taking away from it, because you could say one victory, but then if our victory change, if one of our results change into victory, then you're potentially looking at resetting the whole world, and Chelsea may have won another game and Leicester may have won a game. But to be so close to that position, but we kind of parked that bus a couple of games ago, and Europa League became our new target, and he went there and he got it. Still, we've gone from a relegation dogfight to Europa League qualifying group.
I'm going to own up. I've been proved wrong about God knows how many times. Anton, he's had a knock on the cupboard, understairs cupboard door. So here I am, whilst Anton is responding. I think they bought some food in for him. Please, can I have a little bit more food? So he's been given some food. You do know, people, Anton does the recordings from under the stairs. So he's just had a knock on the door. You all right in there? Are you all right in there, Anton? You're right underneath there? Anyway, what was I going to say? I've completely forgotten.
The season, Moyes, points.
I've been proved wrong so many times this season. But I'll tell you what, I always said, if I'm proved wrong for the right reasons, I'd be happily proved wrong. Moyes coming back, I thought, okay. And look what he's done for us. Not getting a striker in the January window. Look how that turned out. Dawson coming in as the defender. Look how that turned out. Every decision David Moyes has made has proved me and a lot of doubters wrong. And you've got to give credit to that man. You know, he has put. Someone said earlier, he's put. You know, he's put West Ham United he's given West Ham United back to the supporters, you know, because of the way he's managed this team. Come on, check the cats. Because of the way he's managed this team. And he was so proud, you know, because the players walked round yesterday after the game, cheering, you know, everyone, you know, applauding them and all that. So Ross, you've won a shirt. Get in touch
God,
with
yeah,
us.
Ross. Yes, good shout.
Ross
Well
Cordell,
spotted.
you need to email us, mate. You've won a shirt.
There you go.
Email us there. IronUnited1988@gmail.com. We've been waiting for you, mate, for about, what, 2 weeks now? Week and a half?
Literally 2 weeks, yeah.
So, yeah, get in touch. Anyway, you know, I mean, the players walked round and everyone was applauding them, etc., etc. And you could see the favourites, Soucek, Soucek. You know, I mean, I don't think there was one player that wasn't cheered and applauded in the way, you know, when they were walking around. And then Mark Noble did a speech, you know, about what a great season it's been, etc., etc. And we thought that was it. And then Moyes just picked up the mic and he just walked into the middle of the park, and he just you know, he talked about the season, how proud he was, etc., etc. And it was great. It was a great moment because Moyes is really proud not only of his achievements but the squad, the team. And he talked about it being a team, you know, a team effort, you know. And I'm so we haven't been able to get to this year. I would have ripped you to shreds with some of your boys. I know, mate. I know. You bring me down to
Mark, just come on here, mate, and do it.
I did ask him. I've asked him before. So actually, that's a good point. Come on and let's have a chat, Mark. You know, and he was so proud. He was so proud of the achievement of the players, and he talked about it being a squad. You know, and that's the thing that we've got to remember. You know, and I know everyone's been going on about, well, we've got a small squad, etc., etc. But everyone in that squad has done their job. How many times have we said throughout the season, oh no, so-and-so's injured. Yeah, but we got so-and-so coming in and they've done a job. And then someone else is injured and they've done a job. And someone else, and that's what's happened throughout the season. And what Moyes wants to do, what Moyes is going to do, he's already talked about, I'm going to get rid of the, I don't know how he said it. He's going to basically he's going to make the team even leaner. He's going to get rid of, we all know what players are likely to go. We've all got a list in our heads. Moyes has probably got the same list. And what he's going to do is he's going to bring players in that are going to be squad players and who are going to fit the system. And even if we might only have 20 outfield players rather than, you know, the full quota, it's going to be 20 players that are going to want to play for the shirt. Yeah, and that's all we can ask for. That's all we can ask for.
I think that Moyes goes looking for number ones, to be honest. I think he's looking for players that want to actually start. And that's the problem. If we're in the Europa League now, so we're going to have plenty more games between that, the League Cup and the FA Cup. So we're going to have big squad rotation. We're going to have to get used to it. That's why the likes of Benrahma is going to be so important next year still, because he's been involved this season.
MVT, there's always an exception to the rule, mate.
Ross, you won the competition because you entered the competition a couple of weeks ago. Stell announced that you were the winner. I don't know if you were on the stream at the time, but you've won the black third strip.
Black away shirt, yeah.
Third strip. But the thing is, next season is going to be so vital. The summer's going to be so vital, and the likes of Benrahma and other players are going to get heavily involved. Honestly, hopefully it'll be changing. Hopefully it'll be changing over the summer. We'll be looking into something. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. But I wanted to bring you just some stats on some of the players, and probably some of the players I've brought to you today is like the core, like a really big core through the middle of the team of what West Ham have done so much. And what you see through all of that is consistency still. A full-blown, consistent team squad performance by West Ham. I could have brought you 20 player stats. We could do that for another show in the future. But yeah, and listen, we've turned up, we've done the job, and we've now got Europa League group stages. And you've got some teams you want to talk about, don't you?
Well, look who else is in there with us, and I know that there's still more to go. But I'll tell you what, Lazio, Napoli, Eintracht Frankfurt, Marseille. There's a couple of teams there that have something to do with us. You know, Lazio, dear old Di Canio's old team. Don't know if I want to go there to face their fans, but the Eintracht Frankfurt, Aller's old team, Marseille, that's Payet's old team. Oh, is he Monaco or Marseille? He's Marseille, isn't he? Marseille. Payet's old team. You know, Lokomotiv Moscow. That would be an interesting game. Couple of good German teams, Bayer Leverkusen. You know what? That's only the start. You know, we're almost going to definitely be drawn. You know, put in the same group as maybe one or two of those teams. I mean, there's some good away games there, aren't there? Some good games coming up. Some proper European football, and it's exciting. And obviously, there's other teams that have still got to qualify, and then there'll be teams dropping out from the Champions League when they're too shit for that, and they drop into this. And mate, I mean, you know, this is exciting times. I don't care if we don't do well. Of course, I want us to, you know, of course, I want us to do well. But this is all about stepping stones, as far as I'm concerned. This is all about, you know, giving these players a taste of European football, proper experience of European football, and moving on and moving up. And great, long may it rain. Long may it rain. And David Moyes to have got. I mean, come on, we've been smart. Anton, you know, you've been living under your stairs all season, but you've still been smiling. We've been smiling all season. Do you remember the beginning of the season, those first 8 fixtures, and we all went, "Oh, yeah, when are we going to get our first point? When are we going to get our first point? It'll be Christmas, and we'll be languishing in the bottom 3." I mean, what a season! Right. And it's like Mark said earlier on. Mark Window said, "It's such a shame we haven't been able to be there." It's the one thing that we've been missing. Is to actually enjoy, to really enjoy and rub it into some of these teams. You know what we've achieved this season. So I'm, you know what, I'm expecting that. You know, people have talked about, oh, it's a one-off. You know, Spurs aren't going to be as bad as they were this season. Arsenal aren't going to be as bad, etc., etc. Why not? You know, and why are we going to be worse than we were this season? I reckon we'll be there or thereabouts again. I really do. You know,
I do as well. I think it's all down to whatever Moyes, trust in Moyes, what he's going to have. I mean, I'm not even bothered about the money, to be honest. I'm bothered about what Moyes will go and find. Quality is the key factor. He's done it with Soucek, he's done it with Soufal, he's done it with all of the signings, Bowen, to name a few. Let's forget Hugo. But he's back in the Premier League. He's back in the Premier League next year as well.
Who is, sorry?
Jordan Hugo.
It'll just be like us. He'll come and score a hat-trick against us or something like that.
Well, no, fingers crossed. I mean, listen, we all know there's areas for West Ham that we have to Little Miss Tuffet sat in a cupboard doing his own West Ham chores. That is exactly what it is. And do you know what? I'm really cautious of the fact that we actually need to go back to work as well. That's why I've tried to put up the comments throughout. So that really brings an end to the video still. I mean, are you doing a weekly tonight?
Yeah, but I haven't written it yet.
I mean, you could probably just do what you were suggesting to do. I mean, I'll let you work out what you're doing tonight.
I don't know because even that takes planning. So I don't know. Yeah, Mark, absolutely perfect point, mate. I'm telling you, I'm going to message you afterwards. You got to come on a show because I did ask. It annoys me how the pundits say how bad other teams have been and don't give us a. But that's the way it is, isn't it? You know, it's always about how bad everyone else has been rather than how good we've been. And even like I was watching Match of the Day last night, and I was thinking, what we must be on at least, you know, first or second on. No. They showed, who did they show? I can't remember who they showed
Man
first.
City, probably.
No, they showed a game first, and then they showed goal of the season.
Oh, Chelsea, Leicester.
And then they showed Man United, and then they decided finally, well, we might as well show the other team that made Europe. But fuck that. You know, that's just the example of that. You know, we do not get the credit that we deserve. Never do. But you know what? Great. We'll just carry on. We'll rock and roll. Keep doing what we're doing. And when we win the Europa League and get into the Champions League next season proper, they'll then take notice of us.
Well, when we qualify for the Champions League through the league position and win the Europa League, then we'll give another spot to someone else in the league. The Europa League final is in Budapest.
I mean, that's a nice away day.
Oh, I thought it was in Seville. I don't know why I thought it was in Seville.
Oh, hang on a minute. You might be right. I'm wrong. What is in Seville? It is Seville. Sorry. Seville. Even better. Seville's a beautiful
city.
It's a beautiful city.
And I've already dropped the hint to the missus. That's if, of course, we have to get through however many games, 18 games or something.
It's on the day of my birthday next year. on the 18th of May. So that's where I'm going to be. Sorry,
Well,
it is Seville, my mistake. Mark, I know it's your birthday. Oh, belated happy birthday to you, mate. I hope you had a good weekend. So he'll be there spending his birthday there with me. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd be allowed. You're Scottish, so I'm not sure if your Scottish passport will allow you to go there.
Right, listen, that brings an end to our West Ham Daily. Thank you very much for joining us. I need to go back to work. Still needs to go back to work as well. Yes, Mark, you've got it down in a nutshell. And Seville is one of the most, I fell in love with the city. Absolutely love it. But listen, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you join Stel tonight for the West Ham Weekly. God knows what time he's going to go out at.
I don't know what time. I ain't even got it sorted.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to get cracking, I think.
If you are watching and you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way because we know then that you are liking the content that we're doing. Of course, hit the thumbs up. I don't know how many thumbs up we're at just now, but go across and hit the thumbs up. It lets us know you like the work that we're doing, and leave a comment as well. So thank you very much. Still be doing the West Ham Weekly tonight. Tomorrow we'll bring to you. Oh, Still, we'll give a quick update on what we're looking at doing with the transfer show / daily show.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about, what are we going to do now that the season's over? We're going to bring content, but obviously it's not going to be, it's been, let's not lie, mate, it's been full on, hasn't it? It's been a lot, a lot of the shows that we've had to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring on a daily show, but it might be a daily show or it might be called a daily transfer show. It'll be one or the other. There might be times if we've got two big stories coming out on the same day, then obviously, we might put out two shows. But it's an awful lot. It takes an awful lot out of you to put these shows together. So at the very, very least, daily. They may not always be at lunchtime, just like today, like one at this time.
But what we're going to try and commit to doing is making sure the show goes up a good solid 30, the show's going to come up a minimum of 30 minutes before it happens. That then gives you the notification that we're coming on. So like Stel said, we're going to continue with the West Ham Daily, but if it's a transfer story, we'll do it a transfer daily show and do it that way moving forward through the summer. So anyway, listen, you'll get that. You'll get that.
Are we doing, in fact, mate, Crazy Cole, it's a free-for-all now. So what we'll do is we'll bring you all the shit transfer stories as well as all the legitimate ones. Because if you've watched this channel of, if you watched this channel of, a couple of years back, we just start ripping into the shit transfer stories that come out. So we'll give them to you,
but what we do,
we'll be factual about it.
Yeah, but what we do is as well, we don't proclaim to be an ITK, but what we do is we look at players that we're maybe linked to and actually talk about what they could bring to the side more than we think they're definitely coming. And if they come and it's confirmed, we'll do it. We'll do a story there. So they're cool.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Anyway, thank you for watching. This is West Ham United. Subscribe, like, and comment. He's been Stel, Anton, and thank you for watching.